this bishop here is not gonna be too good. You know, the reason why is because it's gonna be behind the chain of pawns. Therefore, if you want to get some activity with this bishop, you have to break the center. So for you to break the center, it's gonna be kind of hard, because I'm just gonna play d4, and e5 is gonna be really hard to play. And if you take here with your pawn, then I can take with my pawn, and this pawn is fixed, and therefore this bishop on b7 is not really good. So I play d4. This bishop on b2 is not really good either, because now I'm facing the same trouble that you have. So the problem here is that you played c4. c4, even though it looks like you're getting some space, the problem is that you're denying the breaks on the center for this bishop to get free at any given point. So look how when you played c4, you're basically saying to your bishop, no, you know what, you're not gonna be worth of anything now, because these pawns are gonna be kind of stagnant here for a while, and this bishop on b7 is just creating some pressure on e4. It's okay, but at the same time the bishop on b7 is gonna be really passive. So see how I have the same problem here. This bishop on b2 now it's really passive, but I do something which is really thematical of this kind of positions. I do bishop a3, and it looks kind of stupid because I played bishop b2, right? Why would you waste another time on bishop a3? The idea is strategical, because here you weren't thinking about the mobility of your bishops, nor about what's your good bishop and your bad bishop, as we discussed before. In this position, when I play bishop a3, see how I'm just getting rid of my bad bishop, which is a bishop which is trapped here, and I'm taking your good bishop, which is a bishop which has a lot of mobility. So when I play bishop a3, even though it looks kind of silly, now strategically this bishop isn't on the board anymore, and this bishop here, in comparison with this other one, is not so good, because this is my good bishop, and eventually it might have some good squares to go to, whereas this one here is going to take a little more time to get out. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm just thinking about how that could have been prevented. So what's the suggestion to just just ignore d4, just sit there?
Yeah, the best way to proceed here, stay here with your pawn on c5, and maybe finish your development, because eventually maybe the way for you to break is e5, and therefore you might want to play rook e8 or something like this, and play e5 in the future so that you can break the center. But if you play c4, you're kind of closing the position for your bishop, and that's not so good. At the same time, if you keep your pawns here, let's imagine that if you take or something, and I take with my pawn or whatever, then at least you have some files to work with your rooks in the future. Also, something typical of these positions is that I'll try to play something like c4 with 92 and whatever, and let's imagine something like, I don't know, h6, 92, something silly like this, c4, and these kinds of positions are kind of characteristic also of Zucker torts and things like that. And the thing is that when you take on c4 or something like this, let's say something like, I don't know, like this, then the center is not so good, and your bishop is finally having some attack and some way to take advantage of the position. Of course, I'm just throwing some ideas. It's not like the way to proceed. But if you play c4 here, you deny your bishop these breakthroughs on the center, and then your bishop just stays here forever. So you then say any of these things here, and see how even in this position you might have something similar to try to do if you were the black pieces. You might have something like queen d7 followed by h6, and if I take here, you can take with your bishop and try to get rid of my good bishop. You know, this is common when the bishop is bad on b7 or when the bishop is bad on b2. You'll see that as well when you fianchetto your bishop on g2. Sometimes it is not so common though. You might play bishop h3 to get rid of this thing here. Like if you need it, like if this diagonal were close, right, and your bishop here was doing nothing, and you thought that getting rid of the bishop was the best way to proceed, often you'll see that people will play something like bishop h3 with the idea of trading it with something on this diagonal. So that's something common. But when you play c4, you're just denying it. Maybe a6, v takes and bishop takes might be an idea, and if not, then you're at least generating some game here. If I take with my bishop, then you can play something like knight c6, and if I take with my pawn, then we are trading some pieces on the queen side, and it's not getting so passive, right? Like if you play c4, it's kind of passive for you, even though it seems as if you were pushing your pawns and your pieces up. it is kind of denying the mobility of this bishop. So not so good.